Hey, Dark Lord Walrus. Hey, Evil Twin. Alright, we're down to our final two endings. Wait, where am I? Let's get through this game. This ending should be good because it's Rimi's ending, and that's the one that's kind of the most mysterious because she disappears for a big chunk of the time. You don't really know what happens to her. I guess we're going to get that answered in this ending here. Alright. This whole thing started, actually. It's important. Oh, this is the one that keeps coming during the first choices I keep skipping over. Then it branches off in chapter 8. So wow, it's like started in chapter 1 and it ends in chapter, or it actually takes place in chapter 8. Right, in here. No. And a swimming cap. What? Because what's up second base? Is that every option now? Where the girl looks? Shogun, who's his eyes. Nice, Walrus, damn. Neutral for all these? really matter at this point, right? Oh no, we didn't do this yet? No way. No, we've definitely done all the bad ones. Why is it not skipping this one? Did I not see this before? No, I definitely see this. I don't understand this. Why is it not skipping this? I've done all the positive and all negatives before. Yeah, I'll give Walrus like a VIP badge just for having such a long streak. The hell? I want to buy myself some dinner. What is this? Took the road I was used to go to my local field. It was a 3-minute walk from my base. Mr. Daly more times like I can. We're supposed to be at school. I was walking through today. I can feel I stepped into another world. Same as ever, but felt like the first time I'd ever set foot in it. Is this different now? It's more the stench of rotting garbage was lingering in the air. The moisture in the atmosphere was so thick that I had no need better. I assumed it was just raining. There was like syrup on my skin. There was something on the ground at the far end of the alley. My body part was there. I thought it was a garbage bag from the convenience store. We're walking without paying any mind. Got a bit closer. No, it was a dead dog. A dead cat. Blood and feces were pouring out from it. Such a morbid sight I had to avert my eyes. Shivered down my spine, goosebumps spread on my scrawny skin. Turned around and head back the way I came. I mean, it was another cat. A black cat, a live one. Stared at me with radiant golden eyes.
なんだよ。
Definitely never seen this. I spoke, the cat dashed away into the shadows. Some reason I can't explain. I was now feeling really uncomfortable. I should just get going already, but the dead cat was in the room around. I should take the long way to the store. Just as I was about to head off, I realized something. The whole time I've been hearing this strange noise coming from somewhere. I hope I started listening closely. Crucifixion? The hell?
最悪だ。
Sucked. Oh. I'm at the internet cafe. Tried to close to quench my thirst, then leaned back to my chair. A horrible delusion. Like a gory shit must have gotten to my head. Something really got to me like that. 10 all sorts of weird delusions about it. So bad it surprised even me. No, they were just delusions. There was a lot of times they genuinely affected me and how I was feeling. Imagine it was just too powerful for my own good. Especially in cases where I didn't have the whole full story. Whenever that happened, my eyes went wild, filling in the blanks with the worst things I could think of. It was so terrifying that it actually made me scream. Of course, they'd be fine if I was back in my base, but if I did in public, I'd attract all sorts of unwanted attention. Weird, a delusion I hadn't done? Crucifixion case. It's like a premonition of crucifixion all of a sudden.
Milk tea とか用意しと。
Let's skip it already, right? Did I skip it already? Was it the first one? Is that why it was like it didn't skip? Well, that's when you get no wait. That's when you see this thing in the school, though, right? No, it was another one. Maybe I missed it already. Well, let's see if it says chapter 2, then we'll know. It couldn't be the first delusion. First chapter's all long, too. Huh. No, that's not it. This is all chapter 1? No, we missed it! What happened? I don't understand this. Was it like the first one? Oh, wait, I couldn't mean to skip the whole game. I was going to the menu. That was confusing. Was it because of that weird part where it didn't skip? Let's see. So it's the first delusion? Seems crazy.
し
Once again. A new gen Shogun. Internet cafes. Is this where it happens? Right here? Oh my god, it's the very first delusion. Holy shit. That's why I didn't skip there. Be different now because it's changed since the first time we ran through. Oh. What? What did it say before that? A delusion? Oh, I see. I see. Gotta describe Remy. Ribbon in her hair, yes. Wearing glasses, no. What's up, Oli? Remy does not have glasses. Right over the knee socks, yes. It's high socks. Wearing a long skirt, no, she has a short skirt. This is where to snip, she's always cocked her head to the side. Yay! We gotta wait to chapter 8. Oh, wait, here we go. Don't have to wait at all. 2 hours prior. We're gonna figure out what happened to Remy during that time when she disappeared. Or when we get to that part. The light of the sunset bathed the hospital room in a vibrant orange. All was silent, as if time itself had stopped. Only a single person was present, completely still as if asleep, sat a boy in a wheelchair. You get to Shogun right away! What? The first chapter! For the first delusion! It was around the time of day when one would find nurses rushing around the hospital serving patients their dinners. Yet, no signs of activity made their way to the room. A moment later, the silence was broken by the sound of a door opening. You find Remy meeting Shogun right away. Wow, the girl entered the room. The boy in the witcher lifted his head to acknowledge her, but did not speak. The moment the girl hesitated at the entrance. Looking around the room, she could sense a faint aura of loneliness emanating from it. The drab-looking room was minimal in size and reeked of disinfectant. This is where the two of them spent their days. Isolated location eternally unknown to the rest of humanity. Not a single soul, be they a doctor, nurse, friend, or relative, ever came to visit. Boy and girl regularly exchanged words with each other. Boy been hospitalized for a whole year and been comatose. Only just a month ago had he awoken. Girl had been essentially using his room as a place to stay. However, as much as she did trust him, the relationship had nothing to do with any sort of romantic or sexual attraction. The only goal was to repair debt to the boy. Nothing more, nothing less. The boy was intentionally cold and distant. I had even told her not to return once before, yet all the same she remained. This is in part because she had nowhere else to go. During his coma, she'd been his lone caretaker. The couch in the room had become her bed, and even now, after he had woken, she still used it as such.
ご飯買ってきたよ。
She spoke with warmth and sincerity as she held out a bag of food she had brought from the convenience store. Words scared away the static atmosphere and breathed new life into this dead world that surrounded them. The girl surrendered herself to such an illusion, but did not mention this to the boy as she laid several kinds of bread atop the empty bed.
いつも思うんだけどさ、こんな食事で体は大丈夫？
もともと先は長くないから。買ってこさせて、ごめん。
いいの。私の分のついでだから、気にしないで。
Forced herself to smile at the boy. Then, taking an egg sandwich for herself, she moved toward the window. Upon opening the window, the crisp autumn breeze permeated the quiet hospital room. Comfortably greeted by the wind, the girl narrowed her eyes and perched nimbly on the windowsill. It was located considerably high up. Imaginably, falling would mean certain death. This, however, hardly mattered to the girl, who simply took a hearty bite out of her sandwich. The boy in the wheelchair paid her no heed. Did not even attempt to reach for the bread laid out in the bed.
ねえ、もう一度聞くけど、本当に彼を覚醒させるつもり？
Uh-oh.
昨日、チャットをしてみてはっきりした。のぞみはすでに彼に目をつけている。ノア2も完成間近だし、急がないと。
どうしても、やるの。
そうだよ。
でも、それじゃ、のぞみと変わらない。
Uh-oh.
彼に恐怖を与えて、追い詰めて。
彼しかいないんだ。
彼が覚醒すれば、あなたは死ぬのに。
No, what?
最初から覚悟の上だよ。彼に全ての責任を押し付けようとしている僕には、相応の罰だと思う。
The girl kept her gaze focused on the setting sun, not daring to look over her shoulder at the boy. Her countenance laid her emotions bare. She looked as if she might burst into tears at any moment.
彼を消すっていう選択肢は、ないかな。
To erase him.
そうなったら、僕はまた1年以上昏睡する覚悟で、新しい僕を生み出さないとね。
The year-long comas that created Takumi?
ノア
Wow.
2は完成して、世界には絶望が溢れているだろうけど。
Hmm. Despite his gentle tone, his words were laced with a touch of cynicism. Upon hearing them, the girl couldn't help but let out a sigh.
私は、あなたのやり方には、反対だな。
ノア2を完成させるわけにはいかない。
そうだけど、彼の立場を考えたら、悲しすぎるよ。
Hmm.
それに、あなたが自殺しようとしているのを、むざむざ指をくわえて
Hey,
見てい
Mr.
るわ
Rip,
けにも
doing
いかない
alright?
し。
Thanks for joining our fantasy football league, or Japarkas.
自殺じゃないよ。
私が、なんとかする。
One finally moved a little, taken aback by the girl's abrupt yet resolute words.
なんとかって？
She now last of her sandwich. She stepped down from the windowsill, then turned to face him. Then for some inexplicable reason, she snapped into a pose resembling that of a salute.
私が、のぞみから、彼を守る。そうすれば、あなたは死なないから。
それじゃあ、彼が生まれた意味がなくなるし、何の解決にもならない。ノア2が。
ノア2も、私がなんとかするって。
Kill him to Noah too as well? Jeez.
君には、無理だよ。
もう、決めたの。
She has a cool D sword. It's like a double D sword. Sounds weird.
私は、あなたを守るために、あなたと対立します。
Gave him a frail yet tender smile. At the sight of this, the boy lost any all words he had.
あなたの予言によると、今日、新しい事件が起きるんだよね。
予言じゃない。事実だよ。彼らの妄想を見たからね。
だったら、彼をその事件に近づけさせないようにしなくちゃ。私、ちょっと行ってくるね。
Approached the door.
君が邪魔をしても、僕は予定通り、彼を目覚めさせるよ。
She opened the door, hearing the boy's words directed at her back. She paused for one final time. Signs of light came from the hallway. Not a single human being was in sight. Not a single sound reached the room.
ねえ。私たちって、何なんだろう。誰にも存在を知られずに、ここに、もう1年以上いる。ここにいると、自分っていう存在は、幻なんじゃないかって思えてきちゃうの。ジメジメ気分になるのは、やっぱり病院だからかな。
リミ。君は関わるべきじゃない。
Despite the boys pleading, the girl did not look back.
パン、ちゃんと食べるんだよ。
Murmuring those last few words, the girl left the hospital room. Oh, nice. Oh, here we go. Oops. More already. She too had heard that sound. Oh, this is why she's at the crucifixion? Or there had been a strange whirring sound, like something tearing its way through the air. After she heard it, she discovered its origin, a rucksack worn by a nearby suspicious-looking person. When she attempted to pursue them, however, they escaped. As when she heard another sound echoing in the distance, a shrill sound of stakes being nailed into a wall. And though faint, the whirring sound than before could still be heard as well. The two resonated in great harmony, giving the illusion that her ears would be heard bleeding at any moment.
手遅れ。
Badly biting her lip, she sprinted toward the source of the sound. There, her eyes landed upon the crucifixion case an earlier scene. Wow! Before he's bloodied yet. A corpse affixed to the wall by several cross-shaped stakes. Startled, she surveyed her surroundings. Though she loathed to admit it, the status of the victim did not matter to her in the slightest. If granted the opportunity, she would naturally have preferred to save him, but it's much too late. Now there were more important matters at hand. She couldn't let Nishijo Takumi see this place. She couldn't let him be consumed. Oh, that's why she's there trying to hide it. Wow. She couldn't let him be consumed by fear. Where could he be? With that in her mind, she returned to gaze at the corpse. She was at a loss for words. Only looked away for a second, yet in that short time, countless stakes had gruesomely mutated the corpse. Just a moment ago, there had only been a few stakes in the wall, just enough to suspend the corpse in midair. Hadn't made any external injuries, let alone blood. But now a grisly spectacle lay before her eyes. Instead of it left her reeling in horror, frantically fighting to endure nausea. Her vision distorted, uncertainty seized her heart.
妄想が現実を侵食してる。
In that moment, the girl came to notice the change does not end there. No, she has a plot all herself. Her clothes are different. Uh-oh, I got disconnected. She was wearing a uniform unfamiliar to her from a school she didn't recognize. You know what the swimming uniform was at that point? In addition, her body was stained with crimson, and her hand was a stake.
嘘。これって妄想がシンクロを。
Illusion synchro. Woman's illusion had edited the scene around her. The gruesome corpse, her clothes, the rich scarlet blood. Was any of it real?
違う。
Couldn't possibly be real. There was no stench of blood. She couldn't feel the icy chill of the metal stake in her hand. She put her hand to her bloody cheek, and it came away dry. She carefully reached for one of the stakes planted in the body. When she tried to grab it, the hand grasped at nothing but air. Everything was delusion, a far, far too vivid delusion. But at any moment, delusion could become reality. Already taken form, once rebooted, it would merge with reality. What was she to do? Her was overtaken by doubt. Delusional space like this, oozing negativity, was well beyond anything she was used to dealing with. Such a powerful delusion may have already taken Takumi Dishijo's life. Might find Takumi pinned to the wall in the man's place. At this point, it wouldn't even surprise her. Driven by anxiety, she let out a soft cry, and right at that moment...
あの時の将軍のリンク写真。
Uh-oh. The terrified scream of boy resounded from behind her. It's peroxide. There it is. That's what Takumi sees. You just saw this. That's why he thinks Rimi's like bad the whole time until way later. The vast majority of the nurses at Yogi's General Hospital are out making their rounds. Only one can still be found sitting alone at the nurse's station. She stared at her laptop with a deadpan expression on her face. Despite not being on break, she was in the middle of the phone call. Not seeming to matter to her in the slightest, and she was violating her work's policy on cell phone usage. Reflected in her blank eyes was a certain chat log, shining brightly on the computer. She's reading the chat log between Shogun and Takumi.
ええ、そう。
Damn Hazuki.
現れたのよ。西条匠が。
間違いないっすか。
She's plotting with Suwa already.
多分。
Tabun. Speaking on the other end of the call was a man. It's clear from how they spoke to one another that the conversation had nothing to do with work.
名前はハンドルネームを使っているけれど、あの公式のことを知っていたもの。ログをコピーして送るわ。
With a mechanical flick of her wrist, the nurse moved the mouse with the intention of copying the log. However, she suddenly stopped, her brow furrowed.
ら、
どうしたんす？
The nurse ignored the man's question, narrowing her eyes as she brought her face closer to the screen. So display the chat logs. However, there's something seemed different from a few seconds prior. What happened? So, Neidhart's, all Shogun's gone. What happened? Something had changed, and a possibility considering they were logs, not real-time conversations. Yet, even though everything had felt perfectly normal a moment ago, something felt like incredibly out of place now. Just Neidhart talking to himself.
ログの書き込み時間が変わってる。
What?
どういうことだ？
I understood how absurd their claim was, and the voice on the other end The call became much lower.
ついさっきまでは不自然なところなんてなかったのに、これ一体どうなって。
落ち着け。相手は
Is this the delusion? Everything's moving around like it's a delusion.
細工されたのかしら。
自分の実在を知られたくないためだろう。
書き込み時間が変化したことで自作自演のように見えてくるわ。
そう見えるな。それが狙いってことだ。現実を妄想にした。気をつけろシノ。見られているぞ。奴に。
Her last name's Shino. Suddenly, a sense of uneasiness crept up Shino's neck. Covering her neck with her hand, she turned to face the source of the gaze. There was nobody there. Not a single soul could be found within the nurse's station.
信仰の救いあれ。
She don't remember those words to have prayed to herself, but they would sweep the fear away. Back to Takumi.
コーラスかな。
Oh. Maybe I don't really get worse. The last one should be good. I mean, hopefully. This one should be at least really, like, explain a lot of the story, because it's about Rimi. Needs to be kind of a key part, and you still don't really know what happened to her. Even all those other stories you don't know. Even all those other delusions never really explain anything. I mean, all the other endings didn't explain anything. Right. Got a ways to go. This is the branch off in chapter 8, and there's only 9 chapters, so this is quite near the end. But you might see what happened, because he disappears like earlier than that, so maybe we'll see there'll be a lot of little extra stuff before that. Oh. Bad. Chapter 2. Doctor, or the psychologist. Dr. Shino. There's Husky, this time without glasses. I said no glasses earlier. Speedrun, I know, yeah. Time, yeah. Does seem like a speedrun. Instantly warps through it all. Unfortunately, though, it will be slowing down when we actually get to the part that, you know, that I haven't seen yet. Just, this is the second to last ending, so we've already seen 6 other endings. But pretty much the story's been explained. Hopefully this ending... Actually, the last ending wasn't that depressing, so maybe this ending won't be as depressing either, but man, some of them are really, really brutal. Maybe just read really fast, yeah, no. I mean, it took, like, what, like 20 hours to go through the first time? It is kind of long, if you should read it all. And now I have more than 40 hours, so all the endings take longer than the game. Man, I guess last times there've been 9 endings, I guess. It's back to back.
ね
Got a phone. Right. Vampire case, now we're on chapter 3. Our branch is off for Senna. Yes, or Ayase. This part where there's like 3 delusions back to back. Remember, you're in your room or your container here. There's a room he comes to meet you. Want to get a D sword? You go out to buy the D sword. Fake one. Give Nanami the bangle. Rimi remained expressionless as she moved forward. She was walking down one of Suime Academy's many hallways, this one lined with classrooms for second-year students. She was not accustomed to wearing a uniform, as this was her first time setting foot in this place. She paid no mind to all the other students in her vicinity. However, her apparent composure was a mere facade. Unattended to desperately conceal a boiling point of unease within her. A somewhat awkward march through the halls betrayed this. As she proceeded toward her destination, she kept her head held high all the same. Soon enough, she reached room 2C.
ここか。
And how does she make Misumi already know her? I don't understand this. She already knew the answer. It was Takumi's class. She placed her hand on the closed door. Well, then she realized her fingers were trembling. In normal circumstances, I would have loved to come here. Such a desire crossed her mind for a moment, but she stopped her delusions from progressing any further. Taking a small breath, she vigorously slid the door open.
みんな、おはよう。
Her stoic expression faded, as it never existed to begin with. The classroom before was remarkably cheerful, overflowing with energy. She lifted her right hand to her forehead, snapping in the pose of a salute. Mia's greeting resonated throughout the classroom. In the classroom, fell a silent as death itself. Class had not started yet, so the room was half full. Everyone that was there was looking at her looking away visibly puzzled. For good reason. Nobody in this class, nobody in the school knew who she was. For that very reason, Rimi had to make sure to draw everyone's attention. She drew out her D-sword, yet not a soul reacted. The sword, with blades arranged like inflexible feathers, was still a delusion. It was visible to no one. For her purposes, however, that was enough. Go forth, my delusion. She fired her thoughts at the eyes of those oh, so she made everybody, hypnotizes whatever everybody to think that they already knew her. She fired her thoughts at the eyes of those gazing at her, and this, then as had somehow been planned beforehand, everyone blinked in unison. And then, all at once, the room's frozen atmosphere thawed. Rumi looked around the room once more, and then a smile formed on her face.
おはよう。
おはよう、咲畑。
おーっす。
リーミー、朝っぱらから声大きすぎ。
もっと静かに入ってこいよな。
After another, each student spoke to her like they'd always known her. Though until mere seconds ago, they'd never seen her before. It was different now. Rimi had planted delusions in them, delusions that soon attained mutual recognition. Recognition that Rimi Sakata is a student at Suime Academy and is a member of Class 2C. 2 days prior, she tested this trick on Takumi Nishijo. Taku? No. But it proved to be not very effective. As a result, she'd been worried over how it would unfold when she tried to hear. But it seemed her anxiety had been unfounded. After seeing the smiles of her chattering classmates, he heaved a sigh of relief. How many Aidens are there? There's 9. So yeah, we've done 7. We recalled her D-sword. We're on the 8th. She recalled her D-sword, then approached an empty seat from a vacant row in the back of the room. The desk was another delusion she'd created. She placed her bag down, but rather than sitting, she turned to face the boy approaching her.
よ、リーミー。
This is why they seem to already know each other. Just like tripped your guy out.
よ、ミスミ大輔。ミスミ大輔。ミスミ大輔。
Rimi spoke his name 3 times to ensure her certainty.
なんで3回言った？しかもフルネーム。
そういう気 気分だったからだよ。大地。
Sumi was Taku's friend. In addition to being quite handsome, he clearly put care into the way he dressed. We didn't know how his friendship with Taku had come to be. Perhaps Takumi was responsible for fabricating the friendship through delusions. Or perhaps Misumi and Taku truly had formed a genuine friendship on their own without no outward interference. The cause mattered not. All that mattered was that he and Taku were friends. Rimi's delusion had already implanted fresh memories within him.
タクは
まだ来てねえな。っていうか、今日はあいつ来る日か？
多分ね。
さすがタクの保護者だな。あいつのスケジュールをちゃんと把握してるなんてよ。
Rimi wore a strange smile. The smile formed from the feelings of guilt. Everyone's memories had been altered with delusions, so it remained Rimi's secret, with nobody else suspecting a thing. Those around her would act friendly with her. However, nothing could change the fact that these relationships had been crafted from falsehoods. She had thought that she had been completely accustomed to loneliness by now. By placing herself in this classroom, she rejected herself to a desolation stronger than ever before. Back to Takumi. Yep. You meet Kozupi. Oh yeah. Weird voicemail music thing. The abandoned convenience store. Shogun. Senna. Again, what's the part where you like... Wait, here's where Sumi already knows Rimi. Wait, or he threw up, not yet. Chain on her. Figure out about satellites being messaged into your brain. Yuo goes crazy on you at the internet cafe. You meet FES in the tunnel and splits into 2 FESs. To the other one. This is based on your delusion you answered earlier, or the questions you answered earlier in the game. Nope, she has a school uniform on. Group dive video. There's where you throw up. Illusion with her stuff with Remy. That's where Remy disappears. It's coming up soon. Be a lot more story. Chino dies. The numb skull case. There's this part. Oh. Goes the P part. There's Momose. One of them turned out to be some kind of... She also turned out to be like some kind of crazy spy, one of the Indians. Behind everything, apparently, or trying to monitor everything. Next chapter. It's the earthquake. Go gun. Save Yase. Senna.
お前だな。あの花壇を作ったの。
Over the earthquake. Oh god. Don't open the box. Don't open it, don't open it. No! There's Remy's severed hand. I mean, Nanami's severed hand, not Remy. Try to get the D-sword. Oh, sword. Yes. Not again. Please, no sword. Yes. No. Sword of Bishop Mirror. No, it's only there for some reason. Actually, a sword. Empty sword. Chapter 7, we're almost there. And in the center of a dimly lit room, Remy Sakata hung her head, remaining deathly still. The room's owner, Takumi Nishijo, Taku, was not currently present. This is where she gets the hand! He had not locked the door before he left, so Remy could has easily enter. Checked the time on her cell phone. It was nearly 10 p.m. Is Taku still at Scramble Crossing? If she'd been able to, she would have helped him straight away. She already attempted to once before, but the closer she got to Scramble Crossing, the denser the crowd became, and eventually she had been unable to move. In the end, the Esper boys showed and concluded before she had reached O-Front. It was then she heard Takumi's voice. He pleaded with her to return Nanami's hand. It's not often that Takumi would ask Remy for a favor. Nozomi had kidnapped Nanami, and they were currently subjecting her to all manner of torture. Takumi had been able to locate her using his mind-reading abilities. She and Nanami had been acquainted in the past. Hearing the news like this news broke Remy's heart. A cardboard box sat on the sofa, containing Within it was a small cell phone, a petite bangle, and Nanami's severed hand. The sight left Remy at a loss for words. Concern, anguish, and sorrow overwhelmed her. All at once, memories of her own past hardships flashed through her mind. Forcefully biting her lip, Remy stared at the hand for a few moments. With a deep breath, she gently closed the lid of the box, sealed with duct tape, and left the room with the package in tow. She took the hand. And Takumi thinks he dreamt the whole thing up. Remy took out her cell phone and connected to the first one seg television broadcasting service. The events at Scramble Cross had been on the news earlier, so she tuned into it, hoping to confirm something. But when the channel came on, it was in the midst of a commercial break, which must have meant they were not broadcasting live anymore. In other words, Taka must not have been at Scramble Crossing anymore. Knowing this, Remy reluctantly returned to the hospital room she shared with Takumi. Or Shogun. The lights were off. The room was pitch black when she left it. The bed was empty as Takumi was sitting in his wheelchair instead, something that Remy had been accustomed to.
ナナミの腕は
持ってきた。
Remy opened the box and presented it to Takumi.
ありがとう。
Thanks for her hand.
直せるかな？直せるよね。
わからない。でもこの病院なら、冷凍保存しておける設備がある。
I'm going to freeze the hand and reattach it. Of course, freezing it would be better than nothing, but there's no guarantee that it would ever be returned to her. That was what his eyes conveyed to her.
大丈夫。きっと、治るよ。
Remy boldly declared this with a positive flair.
きっと治るって。信じる。もっとも、その前に、ナナミちゃんを助け出さなきゃいけないけど。
This game is peak, yeah.
ナナミは殺されることはない。
This is definitely the best ending so far because it's explaining so much
焦って動くことは
stuff.
ないよ。
冷静なんだね。ごめん。今言った言葉は忘れて。それより、タクは今どこにいるかわかる？
Hmm?
この病院に搬送されてきたよ。精神科の病室で眠ってる。
Oh.
そうなの？
His eyes widened and she immediately burst out of the room. Busy hours had long since ended, forcing Remy to conceal the sound of her footsteps as she traversed the dim hallways. She knew that both Nozomi and the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light were among the hospital staff. She could not afford to attract any unwanted attention. Following a long and arduous trek, she arrived at the room that Takumi had informed her of. Upon inspecting her surroundings to ensure that she would not be seen, she slowly opened the door. The room was pure white, the entirety providing not even the slightest hint of warmth. Remy silently approached the bed in the center of the room. Taku lay there, sleeping deeply, his forehead beaded with sweat, his eyebrows were furrowed, and a moan would occasionally escape his lips. Remy reached out to Taku's cheeks and gently caressed
ご
it.
めんね。あなたを守ってあげられなくて。
Able to withhold her emotions any longer, she whispered that into his ear. You come back in the hospital. She looks less evil without the glasses. So, it's about you. It was where Remy left you, so gotta see somewhere where she went, right? Maybe they'll do it after the end or something. The guys beat you up. Kozapi saves you. Oh, that sword around. Her pass with the tunnel. goofy and funny all of a sudden. All right. The next big earthquake here. Rimi's back. Oh, chapter 8. Here's where should branch off. So I don't know why Rimi disappeared during that time. Your weird essay when you were a kid or somehow had the formula that could end the world makes no sense. What? She would not do this? Where did she run off to?
さあ、
It was open, the wind blew against the white curtains, sending them fluttering in the breeze. Some odd reason it caught my eye ever since I come in this room. Like a negative illusion that could start any second. One where Ayase jumped from the rooftop and fell past the window. One where if I looked down, I find her sprawled out on the ground covered in blood, with grey matter scattered everywhere. At a check, I couldn't bear the burning curiosity. As possessed, my shaky legs moved step by step toward the window. Stood right by it. The sky was dyed in evening glow. It was a crisp fall evening. Might have been below, the very picture of hell itself, with a gulp ever so slowly peeked out the window and toward the ground. Nothing out there but ordinary. I couldn't see Ayase's corpse anywhere. It's just been paranoid, but I went to retract my head in relief. I noticed it. The window 1 story below was a single towel waving in the wind. The window was just a normal white towel, but words of some kind were scrawled onto it in dark blue lettering. Due to it flapping in the wind, I couldn't figure out what it said. Not that I really cared. The words scribbled on the towel shouldn't have bothered me at all. Part of me so desperately tried to read it. When I looked closer, I saw... No, why? Whose eyes are those eyes? Oh. It starts. I was speechless. I couldn't look away. Right after... Oh. Towel suddenly pulled back through the window. Almost as if they know I'm looking at the towel at that very moment. That couldn't be possible. Nobody knew it could have been in the room below me. Nobody knew it had been hospitalized. Even if someone other than a patient were stalking me from the room below, it would have been possible for them to predict I would peer down from here, right? No surveillance cameras in the rooms. Not just a coincidence, it had to be. What if, maybe it wasn't? Terror creeping up my back, I turned back toward the entrance. There was nobody there. The door was shut. Immediately pulled myself away from the window, feeling incredibly uneasy. Don't think about it. Try as hard as you can not to. This is a coincidence, a simple coincidence. That's what I told myself.
見ろよ、タク。変な本があるぞ。
Suddenly realized Masumi-kun was calling me. Oh, there we go. Drawing. Hazuki made. Done that delusion? Or like too late in the game? Because usually it breaks off before this part. Went to go right past me, but just before he did, he put his hand on my shoulder.
俺もうついていけねえや。あとは任せた。
Sigh of exasperation, he left the hospital room. Leaving me alone with this wasn't fair. I guess I hadn't shown even a hint of an interest in Masumi-kun leaving. Almost like she was pretending he'd never been there in the first place. He was always like this, always was detached from everything. Like I was looking at someone fundamentally different from normal people.
君が生み出したんでしょ、あの時の花壇。
Saw this before.
それで悟ったの。君はすでに目覚めていると。
僕はギガロマニアックスじゃないよ。
ギガロ？何？
You know what those are?
ギガロマニアックスでしょ。青い背
So you
中から
are.
聞いた。
青いセナ。そう。彼女ね。 一度だけ会ったことがあるわ。グラジオールの黒騎士よ。彼女。
Acolytes of Gladiol and Giglomaniacs. You mean the same thing?
とにかく僕は違うんだ。ディソードだって結局手に入れられなかった。
I'm a loser.
神罰を乗り越えて、そうすれば剣は召喚される。
神罰。
苦しみ、心的負荷の爆発、心の扉の向こう側、あるいは精神的拷問。言い方はいろいろ。
僕これまでにもたくさん苦しんできたよ。
No, I was still suffering. I was laughing Sakura Japan. You thought I was a murderer. Shogun and you were terrorizing me left and right. Everything with Nami.
私は精神病院にいたわ。子供の頃の話。
うん。
I already knew it. I seen it online. Why was she suddenly bringing it up?
そこには5年弱いた。私の心はとても弱くて、だから攻撃した。周囲にあるものすべてを、同時に自分のことも。
Yeah, so his voice was a faint murmur. The girl that sat in front of me was wearing pastel pajamas, then tracing the creases on the sheets with her fingertip. With no signs of the strength she'd once had at the concert. Yase, the FPS from back then, had she even been real?
私はよく窓ガラスを割っていたの。問題児ね。
A faint smile formed on her
割れ
lips.
たガラスの破片。そこにいつもぼんやりと見えていた
何が？
剣が。でも何年もそれが何なのかわからなかった。ようやくそれがディソードだと知ったのは施設に入って4年ほど経った頃。それまで私は好き放題やっていたけど、ある日施設の職員が一斉に入れ替わって、
What?
私は何ヶ月もいろいろな拷問をされて、心が壊れてしまう間際に大いなる意志の声が聞こえて、やっと召喚できたのよ。
拷問って。
それが神罰だった。邪神を打ち破る力を手に入れるには純粋なる邪神が必要。
Well, basically, she was telling me I need to suffer more, so I never get a sword. That was the case, and fuck that. I didn't want to experience any more pain. I've been broken down over and over and over again. I just want to be left alone. My wits' end, I felt the urge to scream and shout. But Yase's voice didn't allow me to. Boy, like far to... What did I do when I did this the first few times?
なんだ、それじゃあ必死にごまかそう。
Oh.
あの
Nope. From the first ending. Final chapter. Aoi's eyes shot wide open at the sight of my D-sword, or sight of my D-sword. Love been fairly quick, but stopping had hardly been any trouble. D-swords resonated with one another, releasing a shrill cry that enveloped the two of us. I could feel Aoi-san's negative emotions, her fury, her hatred, coming forth through her D-sword.
先畑さんもギガロマニアックスだったのら。
Behind me, Taku sank to the floor in shock, and that said it would be impossible to get him to escape at this point. So I had no choice but to deal with Aoi-san somehow.
その男が何をしたか知っているのか？ IR2 という公式を。
知ってるよ。
I cut Aoi-san short. They want Taku to even hear its name.
それなら
タクを覚醒させればもっと大変なことになる。
その前に殺す。
あなたには無理だよ。
Aoi-san was incredibly aggressive, but she fundamentally misunderstood how a D-sword should have been used. Attacks were far too straightforward, far too impulsive. Treating her sword just as a simple sword would translate only to a little kid swinging around like a tree, trying a tree branch. There's a distinct difference between someone who had been properly instructed on how to wield it and an ordinary high school girl. Dealing with her would be child's play.
西条は死ぬべき男だ。この世に最悪を振りまいたんだから。
I always sought to be consumed by hatred. Her negative delusions were clearly visible to me. Pouring out from within her, they transformed into a hulking black miasma and forcibly pierced into my dead spots. Aoi-san could have been doing it consciously. However, they would normally be visible to anyone she faced. This is a characteristic unique to Gigglomaniacs. When facing another human, it was possible to make that surge of emotions visible, and with that, you could lay all their emotions bare. Focus my attention on the images that were forcibly being projected into and eroding my mind, the emotions that fueled Aoi-san's hatred or memories. I could see them. Her pain, her sorrow, her memories of the past that tormented her. Using those memories, I glared at Aoi-san and formed a delusion. I fabricated a fictitious scene that would twist the knife in her wounds. Shadow ran through her body, slowly lowering her sword, and she then froze completely. Expression showed she had been clearly shaken. Her eyes were empty. Senna was no longer looking at me, nor reality. It was now inside the delusion I had fabricated. I had just given her a cue. The rest of the story was her own making, guided by her own obsession. Now, Aoi-san could no longer fight. Jumped. I can feel a voice reverberating within my mind.
セナさんの心をぐちゃぐちゃにした咲畑さんは、その後どうするの？殺しちゃうのかな？
Over toward the container house.
もしもね、殺すって言うんなら。
Sort of many facets. An overwhelming sense of corrosive misfortune. Pure unadulterated savagery and a destructive nobility. It was Orihara's D-sword.
咲畑さんのこと悪い人リストに入れちゃうなら。リストにね、入った人は。
Uh-oh, she's going crazy. Bot lifted her D-sword high up in the air. Orihara-san sped cheerfully at me.
コズピーが皆殺しにするの。私は。
殺せ
All of a sudden, Taka raised his voice to a shriek.
セナもコズピーも敵なんだ敵だったんだだからリミ殺しちゃえよ
Kill them!
僕は死にたくない
タク、ちょっと黙って。はーい、リスト入り。
Orihara-san twisted her lips into a smile.
二人とも殺しちゃうから。
Came like a storm. The sheer speed at which it changed and charged me was simply inhuman. I was taken by surprise. Orihara-san's D-sword came down to me like a stake being pounded into the earth. I immediately jumped back, but the impact was so strong I was blown back away. Somehow I managed to land on my feet. Next came a horizontal swing. I tried to deflect with my sword. I failed. I'm taking the blow head on. My arms are completely numb.
死ね死ね。
Orihara-san charged at me with unbelievable strength. I had room to counterattack. How she had so adept at fighting. Despite her small frame, Orihara-san swung her giant D-sword around with no issue at all. The footwork was wild and unsteady. Each step she took was incredibly unstable. Her feet were just barely touching the ground. Rather than she was being the one swinging the sword, it felt like the sword was swinging her.
咲畑さんも匠さんも悪い人だったんだね。二人とも殺します。タクは殺させない。
I desperately deflected Orihara-san's blows, just as I'd done before with Senna, focused on the negative emotions pouring out from within her. Uh-oh, the image that appeared in the back of my mind was a mirror. I see no time, I sent the delusion into Orihara-san's dead spots. Orihara-san's movements came to a sudden halt. Tears began to pour from her eyes. I don't know, a sigh of relief. I had to get Tuck out of here while I still could. That was when I noticed. I couldn't see Aoi-san anywhere. I looked all around the rooftop and started standing at the very edge of it. Naturally, took off running. Before I could reach her, her body slowly drifted forward, and then she disappeared over the edge. No. Sound of something crashing to the ground. Sound of something smashing against the earth. Heard it faintly in the distance. Had she died? Had Oisan died? Because of that? Because of the delusion I'd showed her? No, I didn't mean to... Fierce blast of wind came from behind me. The impact was tremendous. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. My brain being shaken around inside my skull. I would have braced myself beforehand. I was sent flying. The gun hard and sharp pain shot through my entire body. I hadn't been cut in any way, but I'd taken an extremely hard blow from a fiendish D-sword. My vision was intensely blurry. I tried to get up, but I couldn't feel my legs. Couldn't tell who I was anymore. I might have suffered a light concussion. Tried desperately to look up.
私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰
Miara-san was staggering around, cradling her head in her hands. She violently shook it from side to side. The illusion I showed her made her lose sight of who she was.
私は誰なの誰なの
She was moving towards Taku. She was going to kill him. Why don't you run away? Why are you still here? I had helped him. I closed my fist. But my D-sword wasn't in my hand. I had accidentally let it go when I'd been hit by the blast earlier. I was lying on the ground a short distance away from me.
死んじゃえ死んじゃえ死んじゃえ死んじゃえ死んじゃえ
Taku was crying out for help. I have to save him. Won't let anyone kill him. I'm too far away. I won't make it. Miara-san already raised her D-sword. Taku died in an instant. He had sunk to his knees and could no longer move. In less than a second, he would literally be crushed by her D-sword. I have to save him. No matter what I do, I won't make it. Numerous voices urged with me. My thoughts grew erratic. Countless me's pierced me with their gazes from inside my head. Countless me's whispered with their mouths. Whispers continued to cascade, pulling together into a violent flood of voices, which went gnawing away at any and all reasons I had. I desperately stood up, but I couldn't do any more than that. I won't make it.
殺させない
Gritted my teeth. Taku's gonna die. Kill her. Kill Orihara Kozue. If I can protect him, then nothing else matters. No, it's not like that. Kill her. Wouldn't it be better if Taku died here? Kill Orihara Kozue. Kill Takumi. That's the wish of both Rimi and Takumi, isn't it? You're wrong.
違う私はタクを
I knew the D-sword was in my hands. It was supposed to be on the ground, but I was holding it.
私は
The sensations of gouging flesh. I didn't know how to close the distance between me and Orihara-san, but when I looked away. I saw that the D-sword I had held in my hands had sunk deep into her delicate back.
私
She was sitting against a will of some kind. I had no intention of killing her. Is it really my own will, my true nature? Orihara-san looked back at me with an empty expression on her face.
先畑さん一体野良
This is wrong. I want to kill her. If I don't stop, she'll... My D-sword wriggled and squirmed. It had a will of its own. It trembled with the joy of taking life, the delight of bathing in blood. I frantically shook my head in denial. The D-sword's wings, its fangs, creaked slowly as they bored into Orihara's back. Even now, I was trying to gnaw into her and tear her apart.
ダメだってば
Tried pulling it out, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. I couldn't even let go of my sword. Orihara-san coughed up blood, and when it landed on my sword, dyeing it red... So it had a pair of wings spreading. It twisted itself deep into Orihara-san's body and tore her apart. Blood burst into the air, and the petite girl had been alive just a second ago, transformed into nothing more than mere lumps of flesh. Crimson illusory feathers poured down upon me.
違う
What?
私はこんなの望んでない
Seeking desperately for someone to save me, I looked around. Taku was staring at me as if he'd seen a monster.
私は殺すつもりなんてなかった
She was evil.
殺すつもりなんてなかったのに
But I killed them anyway. That was a delusion? What's going on here? Both Sena and Kozupi were dead. They died right before my very eyes, and Rimi had been the one to kill them. Right now, she was lying down on the sofa sleeping. After Kozupi had died, she started trembling, let out a scream, then immediately lost consciousness. I hadn't been able to stand up for a while from the shock. I'd been scared shitless, My fear kept building and building, and eventually I couldn't stand to look at Kozubi's bloody corpse any longer, so I got up, carried Rimi to a room, and shut us in. She occasionally let out a pained moan, but no matter how many times I called her name, she wouldn't regain consciousness. I just sat down, hugged my knees, and waited for Rimi to wake up. There wasn't much I could do about my trembling. Sena and Kozubi had just died, after all. Like the New-Gen victims, they were far from being complete strangers. I knew them, talked to them, spent time with them. Yesterday, the three of us had eaten crunchy coons together. Sena, Kozubi, and I. Showed that photo of the three of us in it. I bit my lip when I saw it. It didn't matter how much I wanted to forget it. The scene ripped straight from a nightmare played again and again in the back of my mind. Kozubi's vivid crimson blood, the slimy, sickly texture of the glistening bones sticking out from her body, the motionless eyes that had lost all light, and the indescribable fear and sickness I felt in the moment when I saw another person cease to be a person. The moment which her slender body ripped apart and burned into my retinas. In that moment, I learned how frail people truly were. Like I was about to throw up. If I did end up doing so, that would make it the fourth time I'd puked. What ended up happening to Sena? This is an 8-story building. Having fell all the way to the roof, from the roof, there was no way she'd make it out unscathed. She probably, no, definitely died. The two of them were both dead. Couldn't believe it. It couldn't be real. It had to be a dream, a nightmare. That was the only explanation. And in such a horrific way. If that wasn't already enough, it was Rimi who had killed them. I wanted to believe it. There's no way I could, but it was the truth. I understand why Sena and Kozubi had suddenly turned hostile and tried to attack me. She had something about IR too. It probably had something to do with my essay from back when I was a kid, but I couldn't care less about that now. After that, Rimi had been revealed to be a gigalomaniac, something honestly that hadn't surprised me too much, but then she fought to protect me. She might have gone too far, sure, but there was no way I was going to hold a grudge over that. Still, if things stayed like this, both Rimi and I would get caught by the police. Then Kozubi's corpses were just lying around out there. Eventually, someone would find them and notify the police. I couldn't get caught, so if I'd let that happen, I couldn't just tell the truth. I hadn't killed anyone after all. Rimi had. Besides, Sena and Kozubi attacked me first. That had legally as self-defense. I was well aware that none of that would work. Back when the crucifixion had happened, I'd almost been named the culprit. There was no doubt in my mind that it would go the exact same way this time. Moreover, I needed Rimi. If she didn't exist, she wasn't here protecting from the threat of Shogun, I'd be completely fucked. I learned the truth that she was a gigalomaniac. I hadn't been horrified, and if anything, I'd welcomed it. She wasn't powerless. She wasn't just a naive high schooler. She was my ally. One even wielded the power to protect me from Shogun. That was why I wanted her to wake up so badly, and sooner rather than later, I'd get her to erase Sena and Kozubi's corpses with her delusion powers. Once she did that, the police would no longer be able to get at us. Nobody had found their bodies yet, right? Then back to my urge to throw up, I looked at the door. Kozubi's bloody corpse was just outside, and therefore unlikely to be found, but Sena's wasn't. Sena had fallen off the roof, meaning someone could easily stumble upon what was left of her. The end of that had happened. Seeing how Rimi wasn't waking up, I'd have to cover up their body somehow. This mere prospect terrified me. I didn't even want to look at someone else's corpse. But that wasn't even mentioning the fact that I knew them, which made it so much worse. And so I desperately shook away my fears and went outside. I had to ensure my and Rimi's safety. Already dark out, leaving my surroundings very dim. I didn't even have the moon to help. The clouds were hiding it. Straining my eyes, I looked over where Kozubi was lying. What? Huh? But I couldn't find it. Couldn't find Kozubi's tragic corpse. There was still a pool of blood. So I couldn't laugh it off as it was all just a dream plot twist, but her corpse is gone. What the? I started to get really confused. I stuck my head over the edge of the roof and peered down to the street below. There's no one there, and Sena's corpse wasn't there either. There's something down there. I immediately understood to be a pool of blood, but that was it. No people, no corpse, no freaking out, nothing. Where had her corpse gone? It was definitely been out there after Rimi had lost consciousness, so Rimi couldn't have erased her with her gigalomaniac powers. But then who could have? Ayase? No, she was still hospitalized in Yoyogi. And Shogun? He was my enemy. There's no way he'd make something. There's no way he'd ever do something that would have benefited me. What the hell was going on? I've been both vaguely anxious and incredibly relieved about the corpses disappearing, and let out a deep sigh. And I felt chills in the nape of my neck. Being watched. The unusual mysterious gaze. Shogun? Is that you watching me?
僕を見るな。
Ducked into my room. Rimi had gotten up. She was looking around the room with a vacant expression on her face. I guess she finally woken up, but what should I say to her? Kelly and Sena and Kozubi had been a pretty extreme shock to her. And again, that was bound to happen if you killed someone. It wasn't like P. Kane and ESO. She also said she didn't mean to, and I was sure that only made it worse. Oops. I know what to say at times like this, but so in the end I couldn't help but say nothing. Rimi looked at me and then tilted her head curiously.
ここ、どこかな？
え？
あなたは、誰？
What? Rimi was acting strange.
リミどうしちゃったの？
リミ？リミって誰だろう？私かな？私、リミじゃないよ。
What's your name?
何言ってるんだよ。しっかりしてよ。
私のお名前は、 かんないや。
嘘でしょ。嘘だよね。
He's gone crazy. It's just PTSD. I pressed her for an answer.
本当だよ。
Right when she said that, Remy jumped into my arms and started clinging to me. Rubbed her cheeks against mine like a spoiled kid wanting attention. We were so close to me, and suddenly at that, I started panicking.
あなた、誰？私のお友達かな？きっとそうだよね。お友達ってね、つまりね、私に親切にしてくれる人のこと。あなたは怒らない？私、怒られるのやだ。あとね、痛いのも、すごく嫌だな。
I don't like to hurt. Amnesia? Maybe some form of age regression. But this kind of thing only happened in Eroge. I've never dreamed of it actually running into a situation like this IRL. It was only a possibility. Sure amount Remy had freaked out when she killed Kozubi wasn't normal. And
ギガロマニアックスとなったものは誰だろうと一度は壊れているんだよ。
I remember the late Senna's words. Remy might have broken once again. She killed her with her own heart and mind. None of those words came to mind. I couldn't remember where, but I had a feeling that someone had told me that before. Remy had killed her own heart and her own mind from the shock of having killed Kozubi and Senna. I was talking to an entirely new personality she created. I understand why she was acting like a child. DID, dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personalities. You had accused me of having it. Obviously I didn't have it, but maybe Remy was suffering from it now. This is all just speculation, of course. What I didn't know, though, was the childlike Remy in front of me now was nothing like the Remy I knew. It wasn't the same girl who told me she'd stay by my side. The girl who kind of said envelop me. She was completely different now.
こんなの。
Fell to my knees on the spot. I was overwhelmed with despair. As Remy clung to me playfully, she peered at my face curiously. Her eyes were so serene, so beautiful. Purity overflowed from them. Purity that I couldn't stare back into. In a way, we were lucky that Senna and Kozubi's corpses had disappeared. But if Remy was like this, who was supposed to protect me now? Remy, not that I knew whether or not to even call her that, had genuinely lost all her memories. Or I suppose you could say that this Remy didn't have any memories at all.
私は、リミって言うの？
うん。そうだよ。咲畑リミ。
咲畑リミ。そうなんだ。
She talked. We were talking about her literal name.
あなたは？お名前、なんて言うのかな？
僕は西條拓海。
Having to teach her something so basic, like day one stuff, was just thinking about where this was going to lead was left me feeling even worse than before.
西條拓海。タクだね。タク。
It was the same. Her nickname for me was the same.
ねえねえタク。あのね、私ね、手が
Dried
ベ
blood,
タベタしてるの。
dried blood in her hand clung to her skin. Dark red discoloration on her was Kozubi's blood, or at least it should have been. Her corpse had vanished, but her blood still remained.
ベトベト。やだな。
Remy looked pretty sad as she stared at her hands. I was reminded of Kozubi's smile and it hit with a horrible ache in my chest. I tried my best to hold myself together. I got a wet towel ready for her.
ほら、手出して。
I told her that. Remy timidly held up both our hands. Using the towel, I started cleaning the blood off them. Every time I glanced at it, the previously white towel got redder and redder. To make sure I got it all up, I had to scrub kind of hard. I was wiping away the blood, making sure to get in between her fingers.
くすぐったい。
Remy laughed cheerfully. Jose had no idea why she had blood on her hands. Well, wasn't she fucking acting carefree? You know what? Clean them yourself. Why should I babysit you? There was no way I could actually say that. Remy tried her best to protect me, and because of that, regardless of whether or not it had been intentional, she had killed someone, and then her heart and mind had broken completely. So I couldn't just leave her to fend for herself. After all, I was responsible for her being like this.
ほら、綺麗になったよ。
ありがとう。ピカピカだ。 私の手。すっきりしたよ。
Took my hands, intertwined her fingers with mine, and then innocently shook them up and down. She seemed so happy, like she was a little kid. For some reason, her smile left me feeling wistful.
ねえリミ、君は僕を守ってくれる？
What?
守る？何を？
僕を。
Where's your D sword? Still have it?
私ね、よくわかんない。でもね、タコは私のお友達だから、私に親切にしてくれるよね。だからね、私、タコがいてくれてよかったよ。
There's no use. There's no point talking to her anymore. Remy was supposed to protect me, wasn't there anymore. Back in my head, Remy wasn't supposed to be here. Where was her house? She needed to get home. I'd reached out to her family, but I couldn't find anything among her stuff with their contact information. I went to school. The teachers would most likely know her address. Problem was, it was already fairly late, so I probably wouldn't be able to get in to ask. Actually, now that I thought about it, I don't really know much about Remy. Where did she live? How big was her family? When was her birthday? What was her favorite food? I didn't know anything about her, and because of that, there was nothing I could do for her.
タク。
Remy called my name, but she pulled up on the hem of my shirt.
ねえねえ、タク。私ね、お腹ペコペコ。
What time was it? It's already dark outside, and also dinner time. Fortunately, I didn't have any spare food here. I have to go buy something.
何が食べたい？
She also forgotten about food due to her memory loss. She did not know what different kinds of foods there were, what they tasted like.
そうだ。私、お蕎麦が食べたい。
お蕎麦？
お蕎麦好き。
好きなの？
好き。
なんで？食べたことあるの？
食べたこと。ないかも。でもね、お蕎麦は好きだよ。
What's going on? Shouldn't her regain her memories? Was her previous self-sense of taste the only thing she remembered? Got her memories back, I'd be saved. For the time being, though, I'd have to go to the supermarket to buy some soba.
リミ、ここで待ってて。絶対外に出ちゃダメだ。ビシッ。
Tenderly struck the pose that the previous Remy had done all the time. Put one hand up against my head as if I was saluting her. Maybe this would make Remy remember. That was my train of thought, at least, but...
石？何？かっこいいね。
No idea what I was doing. My eyes were sparkling with curiosity, not recognition. So incredibly embarrassed, I bolted out of the room. On the way to the supermarket, I checked to see if the police were around or not. Just as I thought, Sen and Kozumi's corpses had disappeared. If there was any police around, then it was possible that there had been witnesses. If there weren't, then that would mean no one had found them. In other words, we might have had some time before we were found out. Of course, I wasn't just wary of the police, but Shogun too. He could show up completely out of nowhere at any time, so I paid extremely close attention to any of the shadows he could have been lurking in. Thankfully, I didn't feel God's gaze at the moment, but even then, I still didn't want to go out at night. The darkness scared me. When I walked through the deepest parts of the darkness, I could faintly see the scene of the dead Kozubi and Senna start to form. Their bodies, mutilated, disfigured, slowly took shape. I quickly averted my eyes and hurried to the supermarket, keeping my eyes trained on my feet. Once I got back to my base, I got the portable stove and started boiling the water for the soba. Container didn't exactly have any form of ventilation, and there was flammable shit everywhere, so it was honestly pretty dangerous. Regardless, I went ahead and tossed the soba into the pot. Instant noodles, of course. Remy was staring at the noodles with a spark of curiosity in her eyes.
お蕎麦ってこうやって作るんだね。
Kozumi's pool of blood was still there. It's practically all dried up now since it was nighttime. It just looked like it's some weird black stain. I marked out all the empty cardboard boxes I piled up and set them over the top of it. I knew it wouldn't help solve the problem, but I still didn't want to see it if I could help it.
タク、こぼれそうだよ。
I heard her say that I went back to check the stove, boiling pretty intensely. It was on the brink of overflowing, but instead of doing anything about it, she kept saying, "Whoa."
火を消して。
Let me touched tilted her head and then turned the dial of the stove. The wrong way.
売れたよ。すごい。
いや、すごいじゃないでしょ。
Frantically pushed Remy aside and turned off the burner. There was hot water everywhere. Shouldn't have really mattered. As long as it was edible, it shouldn't have cared too much about how it tasted or its texture. Took the pot, drained the water from it, and immediately rinsed the soba noodles. It was worth noting that I only done so because the instructions told me to, not because I was some master soba chef.
冷やしとあったかいのとどっちがいい？
冷たいの。
Popped the noodles into a bowl, then poured in a base I brought as well. All I had for toppings was some green onion. I chopped it up to make a decent garnish, and it was ready to go. Took Remy back to my room in a hurry. Left the cleaning for tomorrow when it was bright outside. Right now I wanted to spend as little time as possible outside, especially since there was still faint smell of blood out there. What does Sen and Kozubi show up and even now? They'd be drenched in blood. Then they started walking toward me like zombies. Sure, it was more based in a cult than reality, but it still scared me nonetheless.
ねたく、食べていい？食べていい？
It's pretty clear that Remy didn't have any sense of intense worries I had. Actually, maybe it was pretty precisely because of those things that she changed to an entirely new personality, in order to completely erase the memory of having killed people.
どうぞ。
Also,
はい、いただきます。
and grabbed the chopsticks I'd given her. She held them like they were a fork, though. Instead of using them, she stuck her mouth on the edge of the bowl and started slurping it up directly. I don't care what anyone says. That's how Lolly eats, thank you very much. Must have even forgotten how to hold chopsticks correctly. She also forgot how soba was made and how to turn off a simple stove. And yet she'd remembered it was polite to thank people for making stuff for you. Maybe that meant that her understanding of the world around her had regressed?
食べられないよ。
え？
食べられない。
Remy was getting frustrated at her own inability to properly eat the soba. I mean, considering how she was trying to go about it, of course she wouldn't be able to.
食べさせて。
What?
なんだと？
Was she for real? Was she asking me to feed her? Like I was her babysitter at this point. Perhaps a dad, but having a daughter the same age as me? Oh god, I don't know if I could handle that.
たく。
She pleaded with me with her puppy dog eyes, so I couldn't really say no to those. I let out a sigh and gave in.
ほら、あんして。
Shite. Remy took the soba I was holding out in her mouth, holding out to her in her mouth, and started chewing it with a smile on her face. She seemed to really like it.
おいしいよ。
それはよかった。
Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. Laid back, relaxing life with a 3D girl. That was definitely what I was looking for. Life with no overly dramatic eroge-esque plot points. Not having to worry about the heroine's emotional baggage. Not having to worry about her feelings for each other, yet being afraid to speak up. Not having to worry about getting dragged into a murder case that they wouldn't find in books or video games. And yet, I had a feeling that was what I really wanted. That very life was actually unfolding right before my very eyes. Not only that, but Remy was here with me too. Honest with myself, Remy was cute. She always said she'd protect me. And I too wanted to stay with her forever if I could. This is all fake, a lie. This life wouldn't last, and Remy wasn't Remy. Time would be far too short-lived, far too fleeting. Thought of it made me feel sad, wistful, and empty.
戻ってきてよ。リミ、本当に戻ってくれ。
Couldn't help but whisper those words.
メールだよ。ボケなす。
Taken by surprise. I heard Seirotan's voice coming from my PC. I just received an email from someone. Was it from Shogun? I had a bad feeling about this. This couldn't be good. I didn't want to look.
僕を見るな。
The gaze, someone was looking at me, felt even more evident than usual. I looked around me, but there was no one besides me and Remy in this room. My hand stopped, and because of that, Remy was fighting hard to try and wrestle the soba into her mouth. She wasn't looking at me. But there was no one else who could have possibly been. I didn't even need to ask whose eyes were those eyes. Groaning, I hid it from my PC and checked the inbox. No, awaken what? Oh, god damn it. I received one email, and the sender was Shogun.
くそ、
Kuso.
くそ。
So, what was he plotting now? Was he going to kidnap Nanami for real this time instead of just faking it? Maybe he was really finally going to kill me directly once and for all. It made all my hair stand on end. Chills on the nape of my neck grew even stronger. Feel any good? And my head was starting to hurt somewhat. And look at me. Trembling fingers, I Click the mouse and open the email.
あれ
Huh? Nothing written in it. Well, the subject line, which read awaken. There's nothing written in the body. Awaken, what did he mean with that? Did he tell me to awaken as a gigglomaniac? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
バカにして。僕を怯えさせて、そんなに楽しいか
I was angry, but at the same time, I wanted to fend off the fear lurking deep inside me. The keyboard hard with my hands. Static came from the speakers. Did I click something by accident?
目覚めて
What?
もう時間がない
What the hell? I heard something. Mixed with all that static, I heard something. I'm just checking my PC. My MP3 wasn't running. There weren't any videos that played in my browser. Or maybe Shogun's email includes some kind of virus. There were no files attached to it.
時間がないんだ
Again, I heard it again. It's getting hard to breathe. Drops of sweat ran down from my forehead. Well, I could shut off the sound. If I did that, I'd stop hearing this extremely weird static. Open the sound settings in the bottom right corner with the mouse. Then I clicked on the option to mute everything in the volume mixer. I said that I wouldn't hear anything. I wouldn't have to listen to that static nor anything resembling a voice within the static. I was extremely tired, freaked out, but of course I was. It's only been 2 hours since 2 people I know had died right in front of me. Not to mention the weird stuff I'd seen at the hospital when I got to visit Ayase, or the strange calls from Nanami. It had to be just mishearing something and make the static, right?
目覚めて
What? Voice.
時間がないんだ
It's coming from the speaker.
もうすぐサードメルトが起き
Sarado Milto. Clearly heard it. It was him. That'd been Shogun's voice. Same voice that talked to me at Scramble Crossing.
なんでだよミュートにしたはずだろ
タク、サードメルトって何？
Mimi acted as she just been for the past couple hours tilted her head as she looked up at me with innocent eyes. Came up close to her, grabbed her by the shoulders and shook them.
リミ頼むよしっかりしてよ
痛いよ。
言ってくれ僕を守るって言ってくれよ
Get your D sword out!
僕は一人じゃ耐えられないこのままじゃ殺される
痛くしないで。
僕は君を責めないから君がいてくれないと困るんだだから
痛いの。やだ。
Tears shook down her face. I was scaring her. Every couple of seconds, her shoulders trembled. I slowly let go of her.
あの無用目を覚まし
The third melt! No! I started shaking violently. An earthquake. It was bigger than the last one. Shook with a violent ringing in my ears. Such an intensely shrill, resonant sound, my head felt like it was about to burst open. Like my ears were being pierced by thousands upon thousands of needles. Now my brain was being stirred into a mush by a blender. And then... Hit by an enormous impact, and a blinding light dyed my vision completely white. I washed with an elusive feeling of being immersed in lukewarm water. The waves gently rocked me back and forth as I drifted along its surface. Slowly opened my eyes, a vibrant blue sky spread out before me. It felt almost like I could fall into it. Another strange sky, the sun was nowhere to be seen. Even though it was supposed to be in my room, even though it was supposed to be nighttime, how could I possibly gone outside? When did it turn to day? The last earthquake, I've been out for more than an hour. Maybe this time I've been unconscious for the entire night, I thought to myself. Remember the earthquake's tremendous impact. Yet another elusive feeling hit me, like the tremors were resonating with the very blood coursing through my veins, threatening to burst open from the inside. Maybe this was heaven, maybe I died in that earthquake. Heaven, huh? There's no way an otaku freak like me would go to heaven. I was even mentioning how I'd been able to save my own little sister. I'd been the worst possible brother to her. I made Rimi kill Senna and Kozupi. Hell, that would be far more a fitting place for someone like me. Well, obviously I'd choose heaven if I could. I didn't feel quite right. I was being overwhelmed by a sensation of walking on top of a fluffy cloud. I couldn't quite understand it. regardless of how I felt, I forced myself to get up. Being rocked by the waves hadn't simply been my imagination after all. This is a world with a never-ending surface of crystal clear water. A world where no matter how I looked, where I looked, blue filled my view. Also, I've been right in the middle of it, lying down. Where was I? Was this really heaven? I feel like I'd seen the scenery before.
あの空は、どこにあるの？
Voice resounded within my mind. A voice which rose from the depths of my memories. Right, I remember now. Seen it in a dream before. Remy had been there. I talked to her as she looked up at the blue sky, her face clearly one of holding back tears. Was seen the same dream as I had back then? No matter where I looked, there was no one other than me. There was no one here, not even Remy. It was far too reposeful. Remy? I tried to call her name, but my words were entirely mute. And yet, even without sound, they created ripples across this calm surface of water. Are you there? And there was a series of vibrations, and those vibrations then created waves. Among those waves, just like I had been a few moments ago, there was someone lying down. I stood up, my field of view expanded. One drifting along the waves was Remy. So unbelievably pale, she appeared as she was dead. Her eyes were closed, and both of her hands were resting gently on her chest. She simply stayed that way, facing up to the sky, not even moving a single inch. Remy, wake up! When I called out to her, she didn't react. She was dead. I knew that for certain. It wasn't just her, the world itself was dead. So I just stood there, not knowing what to do. At that very moment, Remy's prone body gradually sank beneath the surface of water. As soon as I realized what was happening, she was already completely submerged. How was I standing on top of the water at all, I wondered. Fiercely, I fixed my gaze below the water's surface. Beyond it was only darkness. The sky was so bright, yet, even though the water was so clear, below it there was only an eternal darkness seemed to swallow all. And Remy, still lying on her back, was slowly sinking further and further into its depths. I had to go after her. I needed to wake her up. As a thought crossed my mind, even though I had been able to stand on the water until then, all support suddenly disappeared out from under me. I sank. My body grew even heavier with each passing second, like I was underwater, but it wasn't as though I couldn't breathe. The water was very warm, too. I just wanted to drift within this comfortable sensation for all eternity. That's the way it made me feel. I give an example. Rather than ocean water, it was more like amniotic fluid. This might very well how a fetus felt inside its mother's womb. Not the darkness continued forever, but in truth, there was a bottom to it. It was so dark I couldn't even see with my feet. I simply felt an odd sticky sensation on my soles. I stood in the middle of the darkness. When I looked up, I could find I could no longer see the surface. That blue sky, too, had been veiled completely by the darkness. The sole source of light was a single ray that descended down from above like a thin thread, much like a spotlight would have pointed to a single place. And unlike a spotlight, there was nothing beneath it to be illuminated. It only lit up a meaningless spot. What's up, Scott Do UK? Or Scott UK? I nearly stepped into the light. It was ever so faint and gentle, but the moment I bathed in it, my chest began to ache. What was the sensation? Almost as if I could cry at a moment's notice. So my heart itself was being rended. That was the sensation that overtook me. Where could Remy be right now after singing? I don't know. Remy disappeared after sinking, I guess. Where could Remy be right now after sinking all the way down here? Find that faint light source alone, made my way out from beneath that spot of light, and then searched the darkness. Soon my toes hit in something soft and yielding. I kneeled down this time, touched it with my hand. It was so cold that it was capable of freezing my very fingertips. Little by little, my eyes adjusted to the darkness, and before long I realized something. Touching a person lying collapsed on the ground. Remy. Wake up. I tried shaking her. Remy, wake up. But there was no reaction. I wasn't breathing. Taking her feeble hand, I measured her pulse. She was dead. She had no pulse whatsoever. Dismayed, I strained my eyes to examine the surrounding darkness. I find that she wasn't the only one. Countless other Remys were collapsed on the ground, almost as if this place was a burial ground. Every single one of them was dead. It was a graveyard, the graveyard of her heart. That's how it felt to me. Suddenly countless bubbles sprang forth from her eyes, and within every one of them I could see different visions being displayed. Instinctive realizations came to me, and I knew them. These were Remy's dead memories. What?
私の最初の記憶は、落ちてくる雨と、
What?
空を追
So
い
this one
かけ
starts
した
too.
どんよりとした雲。
How long ago had that been? By the time that I was just an elementary schooler, maybe 6 years ago? Man, I wanted it to happen, for my memories were not continuous. Yet I saw my dad, whose head had been blown away, and my mom, who had been crushed completely by steel, right next to me. The only moment prior, we'd all been celebrating inside the car, happy as it could be about our family trip. Our almost shrunk had closed in on us, and before I knew it, hopefully what was happening, the car I had been in had been completely flattened. Struck by an intense pain, and my conscience began to grow blurry. Even as if my body was being torn apart, the sharp squeal of brakes played as an endless refrain from my ears.
次の記憶は、 手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
But how long ago that was? After moving with my parents, maybe 5 years ago. Didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous.
担当医に剣のようなものが見
Not
えた
Norose.
と言ったそうですね。
He's evil.
聞こえていますか？
Can't hear your name. I feel like someone called my name, but I could no longer recall what exactly the name was. For now, it was a dead name.
まだ傷が癒えていないようですね。ご両親が目の前で亡くなったのもショックでしたか？では、聞いているだけで結構。私はこの AH 東京総合病院の名誉院長でありスポンサーでもあるノロセと言います。君はギガロマニアックスである可能性があります。ぜひその力に
Nice, Johnny.
覚醒していただきたい。幸いにも君は天涯孤独になったので親族などの煩わしい連中も湧いては来ない。というわけで君は今日をもって死亡扱いとなりました。以後この地下室で過ごしてもらいます。何の心配もいりません。ここは私しか知らない部屋ですから。頑張って目覚めてください。期待していますよ。君は実
By
験
the way, I'm
台
going
で
to be
す。
torturing you for the next
力を持つ
X
非
number
覚
of
醒者を
years
目覚め
until
さ
you
せる
awaken.
ためには何が必要かいろいろと試させてもらいます。明日からね。
Continue to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. I hated the dark more than anything.
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
I wonder how long ago that was. I've been locked in the basement. I lost all sense of time. Didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous.
実に我慢強いお嬢さんですね、君は。背中の皮膚がただれて血が出ているのになぜ耐えようとするのです？早く目覚めれば楽になるというのに。
Can you just stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling? Or if I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed, and it would soon all be over with, without me having to see anything more. I mean, we have to see Norse torture every one of these girls in the ending. It's getting a little upsetting here.
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
What how long ago that was? I mean, luckily it was the same as I said before. Didn't matter what happened. Never as I continued. It's the exact same thing as last time.
痛いですか？皮膚の表面を切るだけですよ。血はたくさん出ますが死ぬほどではありません。3日も放置すれば化膿してかゆみがひどいことになるでしょう。そこからが今回の実験の本番です。安心してください。私は医者なのでね、メスの扱いには慣れています。そうですね。10箇所ほど切り刻みましょうか。
You just stare fixed at the lights hanging from the ceiling. I'm saying the same thing each time because she's going crazy. You see, it's going to say the same thing again. How long are we going to do this?
次の記憶も手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
I'm not going to read the same thing each time. It's getting annoying.
かゆいよ。
そうですか、かゆいですか。しかし、引っかくことは許しませんよ。人というのは実に不思議なものでしてね。痛みは意外と我慢することができるのですが、かゆみはそうでもないのです。痛みよりもかゆみの方が精神をおかしくさせるには効果的かもしれませんね。
Get your D sword. It's all that can save you. So the same thing as before. Then I killed my own self. Oh, I did add something there.
次の記憶も、手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
It's the same thing as last time.
Hmm. 左上腕はこれで粉砕骨折というところですか。まだ目覚めないとは、一体何が足りないのでしょうね。しょうがない。今日の実験はこれぐらいにしておきましょう。ゆっくり休んでください。
Same things before. And I killed my own. I keep saying that. I killed my own self, though. It's a new thing.
次の記憶も、手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
How long is this going to go on for? What's going on here? Why does this game do this again and again? It keeps trying to torture you, the person playing the game. Really annoying.
ウォーターボーディングは、アメリカ CIA がつい最近まで拷問方法として用いていた最も安易で最も効果的で最も苦しませることができる技術です。いわゆる水攻めというものですね。わずかな水の量だけであなたに溺死した錯覚を味わわせることができるのですよ。21世紀において未だにこのような古典的な拷問を行っている。実に面白いではありませんか。
Can you just start? Alright, same thing again. So this is I killed my own self again. And I killed my own self. Oh, I was getting all delusional.
次の記憶も、手術台の上から見た眩しい光と男の人の声。
Same thing again.
私は麻酔を扱うのはこれが初めてなのですが、どうやらうまくいったようですね。気分はいかがですか？君は今、首から下が麻痺している状態です。自分の体を思うままに動かせないというのは、ストレスのたまることだと思いませんか？とりあえず、その状態で1年ほど過ごしてみましょ
う。You're being
1
paralyzed.
日に1度、点滴で栄養を与えますから、心配はいりません。では、良いお年を。
Have a good year. Same thing again. Oh, as I remained there, I felt like I saw something amid the white light, something that looked almost like a pair of wings. It's the D sword. No, and then I killed myself. You get to get the D sword. You're starting to see the D sword.
次の記憶は、手術台の上から見た、眩しい光だけ。
Oh, the guy's not there. I wonder how long that was. Having been locked in the basement, I lost all sense of time. I would have never continuous, but the guy's not there now, though. As I called out, no one came for me. Nothing moved. I couldn't move anything, not even twitch of a finger. I stared vacantly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. Nothing else I could do. So I mean, I felt like I saw something amid the white light, something like almost like feathers fluttering about. And I killed my own self. Oh, nothing's moving a lot more.
次の記憶も、手術台の上から見た、眩しい光だ
Oh,
け。
the guy. I wonder how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I lost all sense of time. It was not continuous. The same thing as last time. Oh, the others floating about. Okay, it's the exact same thing. Okay, come on, dude. Give me a break.
次の
What
記
kind of
憶
edgelord wrote
は、
this game? It's getting
手
ridiculous.
術台の上から見た、眩しい光と、男の人の声。
Alright, come on, this is stupid.
実に醜い姿ですね。1年もの間、そこで横たわっていた気分はどうですか？己の糞便にまみれ、骨と皮だけの姿となり、尊厳を奪われた気分はどうだったのかと聞いているのです。ですが安心してください。殺しはしませんよ。この実験が始まってそろそろ3年になりますか。私はね、君のことが愛おしくてたまらない。かけがえのない存在ですよ、君は。ギガロマニアックスを強制的に覚醒させることはとても難しく時間がかかる。ですが、君には早く目覚めてもらいたいのです。期待していますよ。
Guys, having more. Oh, see the wings again, the D sword. The number was my current self. Oh, that's why all the dead Remies were there. That's enough. Make it stop, please. I think there was such a tragic past behind Remy's smile. Took one of Remy's corpses that was lying on the ground and brought it close to my chest. So terribly cold, like I was devoid of a soul. Even so, I needed her. I want you with me, Remy. Wished, and crafted delusion. Wake up. Please wake up, Remy. You're the only one who could save me. I know this is selfish of me, but I need you to protect me. I know it's presumptuous of me, but even though I'm a total loser, I feel like I can change if I'm with you. So please, wake up, Remy. Next thing I knew, I found myself in the blue-filled world once again. Waves ran across the surface of the water. Then slowly rising up from the depths. Countless Remies. Every one of them had their eyes closed and was standing still as could be on top of the water. Eventually started moving. However, they didn't use their legs. Something glided across the water. This was that thing which is gliding across the water. One Remy then overlapped with the other, and then same one overlapped with yet another one. Combined like Voltron, the Remies are merging together. I'm fine, I just stood there and watched. Here comes the last one. And all formed the head. Then the last two Remies slowly melted together and became one. Her eyes open. Then she looked at me. Should have been the one I knew. That Remy was an entirely different one. Didn't know. I was afraid to call her name, so I waited for her to say something. As I speak, and she showed me a warm smile. Why are you echoing? Raised her hand to her head. She stuck her usual pose. Wait, I'm echoing too. Remy nodded, and then she embraced me. Buried my face in her chest. The feeling of her soft, supple breasts strode across my cheeks. Gravity soon disappeared, and the two of us began drifting across along the blue. Lying on the surface of the water, Remy held me gently as she gently stroked my hair. I can't describe how wonderful that felt. As if the very essence and all of her kindness and warmth was enveloping me. Reminded me of how I felt when my mom hugged me back when I was a kid. I felt how I felt safe in her arms. I wanted to stay like this forever. But at the same time, I wanted to confirm for myself that she really was Remy. I turned my head just enough to look at her face. Even with that horrific past behind her, she still had the brightest smile. Remy, despite looking like she was about to cry, still made an effort to show a smile. She entwined her fingers with my hair. I knew it, my chin had been forcibly raised slightly. A captivating aroma filled me, and something warm and tender pressed upon my lips, against my lips. Right before me was her face. Her eyes were closed. I could feel her soft breaths. So this was a kiss. So sweet and so pleasant, I felt like my brain was turning into mush. From just a kiss alone, my heart was filled with love for her. A taco freak like me depended on her yet even still desired her everything. What? I closed my eyes and engraved that sensation in my memories. I opened my eyes again. I was back in my room. Oh no, Remy was lying down on the floor with me still in her embrace. Slowly she parted from my lips. Remy was acting shy, something I found incredibly cute. Her eyes met, the two of us were blushing hard. The girl's body's always been the soft, 3D for the win. Finally, even I got a real girlfriend. No one would ever call me an unpopular taco freak ever again.
約束したもんね。タクを守るって。
僕を守ってくれる？
守るよ。タクも、タクミも、ナナちゃんも。
What was she trying to say? In my confusion, Remy averted her gaze from me and looked up at the ceiling.
前は、タクミに心を救ってもらって、今度は、タクに心を助けてもらって、だから、今度こそ、私があなたたちを守る。
I didn't understand what she meant by Taku and Takumi. What I did know was that if she was there to protect me, I wouldn't need to worry about anything anymore. She was a Gigglemaniac and she'd keep me safe. No matter what Shogun had asked her to do, she'd be able to pull it off. As long as it was with her, that'd be enough for me. She doesn't know this gun doesn't know that Shogun is Takumi.
私、頑張
I
る
get so confused on which ending, what he learns in each ending. I'll try my absolute hardest, alright.
頑張って、罪滅ぼしもするし、あなたたちからの恩にも報いるから。
Atoning for her sins. She's talking about what she'd done to Senna and Kozupi? But that had been legitimate self-defense. She hadn't had a choice. That should have been how she thought about it. What felt far more strange to me is how she said you both. Who else did she mean?
だから今は、
feel the vibrations coming from her body and her every word. Even now, her fingers were still stroking my hair. I felt so at peace and so very sleepy. Reveling in the happiness of falling asleep in her arms, I closed my eyes. And she suddenly kills you. Oh. By the time Remy had left the container, the world around her had changed beyond recognition. City of death. As the most fitting description, countless buildings littering her surroundings had collapsed, and those that had avoided such a fate had deep cracks ripping through them.
サードメルト。これほどだなんて。
手遅れだったよ。
Oh, nice,
野瀬
John.
源一は予定より早くノア2を本格的に稼働させた。
The Shogun. Not a voice. A boy on a wheelchair appeared before her. This old building was not wheelchair accessible. Despite the fact that it should have been impossible for someone in a wheelchair to ascend to the roof on their own, there he sat. Showed no signs of being surprised by his appearance.
元の君に戻ったみたいだね。
元の私なんていないよ。どっちかっていうと、タクが望んだ私に戻ったっていう感じ。タクがそう望んでくれたことはさ、すごく嬉しかったけどね。
彼はまた理想度なしで力を使った。もう少し追い込めば覚醒できる。
タクのことはそっとしておいてあげて。
Cutting his words short, Remy spoke with an intense conviction.
ノア2は私が何とかする。ナナちゃんも私が助ける。あなたも死なせないよ。
君一人じゃノロセに対抗はできない。それに前から言っているけど、君は普通に生きるべきなんだ。
タクとね、約束したんだ。
Get up to the overcast clouds, Remy gave a fleeting smile.
私がタクのこと守るって。だから行くね。
Gotta go now. Bye. Bishi.
リミ、
Yumi. Walking past the boy in the wheelchair, Remy proceeded down the stairs. Then the boy decided not to follow her, or rather being unable to, sank deeply into his wheelchair and let out a great sigh.
自分を犠牲にするつもりなの。
No. Noah, too, the bringer of calamity, or perhaps the creator of the utopia for humanity. Whichever it was, it meant nothing to Remy. Whichever it was something Remy had to destroy. Noah 2's location was already a known fact to her, a mutual recognition silently yet tactfully planted into people's consciousness. It had been right in front of Shibuya Station, despite the building having been demolished years ago. It was there, with none suspecting a thing. No one even tried to go inside. Remy opened the door toward the former planetarium, where no signs of human presence could be found, and stepped inside. Nanami. Remy's eyes went wide at the scene she saw before her. There stood a device that was beyond enormous, enshrined in the center of the dome-shaped room. It could be only described as a monster. Ominous sound rang faintly throughout the spacious room. Low-pitched noise, akin to the grieved growl of a beast. A sign that signified the device's operation. Noah 2. Nanami was being held captive right next to the device. Her uniform was torn and bandage-soaked. With blood was wrapped around her right wrist. Her head hung toward the floor, and she looked terribly, terribly pale. Faced such a pitiable sight, Remy was at a loss for words. Crucify them Jesus of Nazareth's likeness. No, what now cannot be called the cross is something far different, for it took the shape of pure unadulterated malice. That's Neurose's D-sword. Being tired of this world's evil, the tired of this world's disorder, the tired of this world's immorality. But no exaggeration to refer to it as a symbol sculpted to those very attributes. Keeping her guard up, Remy swiftly checked her surroundings. There was no one else besides Nanami. She found no traces of the man who had prompted the development of Noah 2, the man who performed ruthless, torturous experiments on her, Norose Genichi. Surprised by that fact, Remy prioritized Nanami's rescue and ran toward the tableau, crucifying her.
ナナちゃん、しっかり。
Lowering Nanami from the tableau, Remy sighed in relief after confirming she was still breathing. First and foremost, she had to get Nanami somewhere safe. To achieve this end, Remy went to pick her up. However, Tense pain surged in her back as if something was gouging out her very flesh. Rimi vomited blood that stained Nanami's uniform.
久々の再会だというのに、私には挨拶もなしですか?
During the pain, Rimi turned her head. No. Norose Genichi was standing right behind her. In his hand was a tableau that had been clasping Nanami only a moment ago. That was not a tableau, but a sword, Norose Genichi's D-sword. The very blade was now piercing through her body. Norose slowly drew his hand back. The sharp blade of his D-sword bored into her body, slipped through her flesh, and scraped against the surface of her bones. Her body arched in involuntary spasms, sprung by the sharp agonizing pain as her body was slowly being sliced apart.
痛みには慣れているはずでしょ?
Last, Norose's sword released her. Torrent of blood came gushing free. Every nerve in her body was screaming out in agony. Even now, she felt as though she was about to pass out from the sheer pain.
その娘は西条匠をおびき寄せる貴重な餌なのです。勝手に連れて行かれては困りますね。
Rimi was well aware of the magnitude of Norose's power as a gigalomaniac. She'd been imprisoned by the man for over 3 years after all. In a fair fight, she would not stand a chance. In this situation, he would never let her go. The idea of doing so would have been unfathomable to him. At the very least, I have to make sure Nana-chan escapes. A taste of blood spread through her mouth. She was continuously assailed by the fierce urge to vomit. The open wound on her back was hot as if seared by flame. The sheer pain coursing through her left her unable to move. The blood was still rushing out without a pause. As if her consciousness was about to be severed. It was so terribly cold. Her eyes grew hazy, and amid her fading vision, she saw what resembled a scornful smile forming on Norose's face. Might be it for me. Rimi couldn't envision the delusion in which she managed to escape from this man's clutches. Only despair governed her heart.
僕の力をあげるよ。
Oh. Oh!
I'm resubbing on a video game day.
Thank you so much, Stevie. 22 months, too. Holy shit, almost 2 years, man. Cheers, dude. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much for the support, man. Yeah, this is kind of weird doing a gaming day, I guess. We'll have more wrestling tomorrow. We have tons of stuff to get to. Forgot about a Sunday Girl. So a big Sunday Girl show to watch, too. Jesus. In addition to the 3 other big shows we need to see. His voice Rimi knew very well. Takumi, or the boy presented himself as Shogun. This is the second to last ending. Big Spike, yeah. So I think on Wednesday I'll probably end up doing the final ending, which better be the good ending. I don't know, maybe this ending's probably going to be a lot longer. All the endings are usually 3 hours long at least. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Don't spoil it for me. The voice came from a distant place. It defined it was in a manner akin to the thought transference. In other words, telepathy. Feat made only possible by gigalomania.
僕の最後の妄想を君に。
匠。
君にこんな辛い役目を任せてしまってごめん。もう余計なことは言わない。君の意志を曲げることは無理だって分かったから。死ぬつもりなんだね。
There was a way to fix things without dying. I would have done it.
彼が目覚めなかった以上、僕にはどうすることもできない。だからせめて、僕の最後の妄想を君に。
何言ってるの？あなたはそんなことしなくても。
Even though he had no presence in this place, Rimi shouted at the person she was speaking to.
君だけを死なせるわけにはいかないよ。すべての元凶は僕なんだから。だって。もういいんだ。リミ、ノロセを殺してほしい。ノア2を破壊してほしい。
ノア2。
僕がサポートするから。
Rimi's teeth sank into her lip, and she wiped away her tears. Despite her growing even more and more distant with every passing second, she did everything in her power to hold on to her consciousness. She reelbooted her D-sword. Countless fluttering feathers came falling down. Holding Nanami with one hand, she held her sword in the other. Dripping sound landed at her feet, conveyed the terrible amount of blood she had lost. Bleeding had yet to stop. For her wound was one that no one would. For her wound was one that would never allow it to. Jesus Christ! Throw out that garbage. A single slash with Norris's D sword, one capable of bringing down all that stood against it. Rimi took the blow with the sword as she covered for Nanami, but the difference in weight proved fatal. Rimi could not take one of Norris's blows head on with her small build. He was blown backwards. She slammed into the wall behind her. The crack tore through the wall of the planetarium's dome.
わざわざ生かしておいてやったというのに恩をあだで返すとまたいたぶられたいのですか
Norris slowly walked towards Rimi. His face was one of pure unrending confidence. Every facet of his being stood high above, looking down on her with great derision.
変態だよね。あなたって。
Rimi grinned, but her smile was a strained one. Then, for some reason only she could have known, she swung her sword toward the cracked wall behind her. The wall collapsed, exposing the scene of the outside world. It was raining. Dense rain clouds coated the sky. Oh no, Noah too can't get wet! It just suddenly blows up.
いけないよ。でも。
Rimi sat Nanami down on the ground, releasing her from her hold. Still holding her sword tight, she wrapped her arms around Nanami from behind.
ナナちゃんは関係ないでしょ。
Rimi crafted delusion, a single dazzling ray of light. The time the light had subsided, the wing-shaped D-sword Rimi was no longer there. In its place, no white feathers had grown from Nanami's back. Pure, untainted wings enveloped the blood-stained girl. It was gruesome, yet unendingly beautiful sight. Her form was like that of an angel. Nanami was unconscious, yet as if they had a will of her own, the wings that adorned her began to flap. Rimi parted from Nanami. Deeply bemused, Norisa watched as Nanami flew up through the giant hole that had opened in the planetarium. Slowly and steadily, she glided through Shibuya as the rain incessantly poured. Now unarmed, Rimi watched as she flew.
ナナちゃん。無事でいて。
理想像を妄想によって翼としたのですかそれで君は逃げないのですか
Norisa ordered Rimi within rage of his own D-sword. He sent her head flying with a simple swing. Nevertheless, Rimi stood right back at him, bereft of all fear.
まだ逃げられないよ。あなたを殺さなきゃいけないから。
Pocket, Rimi retrieved a cross with a dark sheen. Precise, however, it was not a cross, rather a stake, the same as those used in the crucifixion case. That very moment, Rimi just rebooted one. Upon witnessing this display, Norisa could not help but raise a scornful laughter.
私を殺すそのようなおもちゃでですか随分と舐められたものですね
The blow was far too fast. Norisa's D-sword, far longer than he was tall, at a speed thought unthinkable within mortal constraints, tore through Rimi's flank. Only when her body had begun to stagger to the slash did she realize she'd been cut. Rimi collapsed, screaming at the top of her lungs from the sheer pain. Norris's attack was not meant to kill. He could kill her whenever he wished at this point, but he intentionally refrained from doing so. Approaching the writhing girl, he trampled down on her arm. Repeatedly alternating between pained breaths and gritting her teeth, Rimi eventually stopped moving, for she had no other choice. The tip of Norris's enormous sword was right up against her blood-drenched back, but he had yet to pierce her with it.
もう一度聞かせてもらっていいでしょうかやめませんよ
At her request, Norisa pushed his sword forward with great strength. The tip of his sword further gouged the flesh of her blood-stained body, clawing even deeper into her, as if he was pinning an insect for him to display.
それで私を殺すと言いましたかそれとも私の聞き間違いでしょうか
Yet Rimi, still lying prone on the ground, reached for Norris's leg with one hand and grabbed onto it. She clung to him as tightly as she could. The depths of her tear eyes harbored resolute flames of determination. She glared at the scornful man from below.
殺してあげる。私があなたを
Pulling his sword out from out of her, Norsa kicked Remy into the jaw with all of his strength. And when he tumbled across the floor like a rag doll.
しばらく会わないうちに実に不愉快な人間になったようですね。すでに君は用済みです。利用価値があるかと思い生かしておきましたが、もういりません。
He was on the verge of death. She tried pushing her body up from the floor and crawling toward Norase, but without her D-sword and being able to walk, she might as well have been already dead.
私に生意気な口を叩いたことを後悔しながら死んでいってください。例えばそうですね。これから30年ほど私が君に毎日拷問を施してあげましょうか。妄想の中でね。
Norase's lips twisted, keeping the collapsed girl surrounded by fluttering feathers with his sight. He formed a delusion. Strength his grasp on his D-sword, and opened his channel into the Dirac Sea. Particles and anti-particles needed to materialize delusions have now been created. From those two collections, only the particles, through the signals of light that were established in sight, were sent to Remy's dead spots.
それを待ってた。
何？
Oh. Single instant, the fluttering feathers transformed into eyes. At this very moment, the only eyes watching him had been Remy's, but now he was surrounded by an innumerable number of floating eyes.
その目、
Oh,
誰の目？
the last illusion Takumi had bestowed upon her. Particles Norose had sent were repeated by the countless eyes, rendering them unable to reach Remy's dead spots. And those eyes connected to the Dirac Sea discharged many anti-particles. And downward defense which canceled out the power of a Giglomaniac. Only because he was Takumi. And because he was a Giglomaniac powerful enough to create a human. Only because he had exhausted the final embers of his own life. Such a monstrous illusion had been real-booted. Astonished by the eyes surrounding him, Norose gulped. No matter where he looked, the eyes were only watching him. Only the numbers refused to dwindle, but they grew in no end. Buried Norose's entire field of vision. Then they moved in toward him. Norose was instinctively overwhelmed by an intense fear. In his teeth, he swung his D-sword. The cut eyes gushed blood, the closed eyelids and vanished. And right behind every eye there was another. No matter how many times he cut down, the numbers remained the same.
私を見るな。
それならもう一生目を開けなければいい。
Norose suddenly felt great pressure on his chest, and at that very moment, signals of pain sounded in his brain. As they were a cloud of mist clearing away, the eyes that surrounded him vanished without a trace. On Norose's eyes stood Remy. In her hand was a cross-shaped stake, lodged deep in Norose's chest. Thus, that was his end. Confirming Norose's death, Remy fell to her knees, debilitated. She was bleeding terribly, her face pale as porcelain. Barely even conscious now. Pain irregular breath from her mouth. Her eyes no longer saw anything. She could still faintly hear the ominous sounds of Noah 2, designated its status as fully operational. She's got no choice but to entrust someone else with destroying it.
ごめんね。タク、
Faint, almost inaudible voice, Remy whispered into the air.
約束守れそうにないみたい。ナナちゃん助けたから。それで罪滅ぼしなんかにはならないけど、助けたから。
Suddenly she raised her face. She had been a section of planetarium's wall that had collapsed. A section through which the sky should have been peeking. A few months ago it had been filled completely by a collection of rain clouds. Because of that she could only wonder. Her eyes no longer allowed her to confirm its color, but Remy showed a faint smile as she looked up to the sky.
あの空をあなたともう一度見たかったな。タク、ありがとう。
Oh. I opened the door to my base and stepped out. A clear blue sky jumped into view. The feeling that I'd been raining, but it must have cleared up pretty fast. hadn't been able to find Rimi anywhere. She'd vanished without a single word to me. Once again, she disappeared on me. I've been waiting for hours on end, but she never came back. Instead, I waited outside my base was...
Shogun!
Moving very slowly, the wrinkled boy in the wheelchair looked directly at me. Terrified, my legs gave out on me, and I fell to the ground.
君はこれから自由だよ。僕はあと1時間もしないうちに生き絶えるだろう。君に脅威を与える存在はリミが殺してくれた。
Hearing her name sent a wave of relief through me. Rimi tried her hardest to protect me?
青井瀬名と折原梢の死体は僕が隠しておいた。七海は病院に収容された。だから君はもう自由だ。
I didn't understand. Wasn't he my enemy?
リミはどこへ？
リミはもう戻ってこないよ。
え？
それじゃ。
Bye. Shogun skillfully maneuvered his wheelchair, turned his back to me. Blinked once. Within that time frame, one that even spanned a single second, Shogun had vanished without a trace. What the hell? What just happened? A couple moments ago after that, I heard a low-pitched quaking noise in the distance. Looking over toward the center of Shibuya, I saw something. As there had been a giant explosion, and a single cloud of dense black smoke was making its way up into the sky. Something happened. No, something was happening. An uprising, something paranormal, or maybe a battle between Gilgo maniacs? Whatever it was, it scared the hell out of me. The mysterious birds from Shogun also scared the hell out of me. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to go anywhere near what was happening out there.
リミはもう戻ってこないよ。
Rimi could have been over there. He disappeared once again, and yet I was surprisingly calm. It was strange for some reason, and I feel like I've been betrayed this time. This time I had a strong sense of belief that Rimi was somewhere out there struggling all alone, trying her absolute hardest for my sake. But Rimi, haven't you done enough? Haven't you faced enough hardships as it is? You have to suffer any longer, there's no reason to. It's not right. I remember the soft sensation of her lips. I was going to look for her. I had enough of not doing anything or stay in my room all day like a coward. Our future, for both Rimi and I, and the lives that we shared. So many incredible, amazing things waiting for us in the future. I was to believe that I knew in my heart that it was right to do so.
朝、一緒に学校行って、学校では休み時間にどうでもいいこと話して、お昼休みは一緒にご飯食べて、夕方一緒に帰って、帰るついでにたまにどこかのお店に寄ったりして、タックの部屋でちょっとだけおしゃべりして、それでまた明日ねって手を振って別れて、そんなのでいいなら私いくらでもしてあげるよ。そういうの結構憧れなんだ。
Now I understood. I understood what she meant by those words. How much she wished for such a simple life. When I thought back on everything, this is the time I had spent with her had been only a few hours in total, but I lived every last second of it. I was always happy when I was with her. Me who had gone through every day all alone as a shut-in, living as though I was dead, Rimi's smile had been the sole source of hope. It told me that a bright future existed ahead of me. Rimi had smiled for my sake, so now she'd smile for her own sake. She would come back. This was my usual escapism, hoping to avoid reality. No, this is my resolve. I'd believe only in her, for she'd promised she would be with me forever. So get moving. Move your ass, Takumi. So in order to see her again, you know what? Headed toward the destroyed Shibuya. Wait for me, Rimi, which is dead. This is not a good ending. Find you, I know I will. And now Rimi's gonna sing. As they're talking this time, during the credits, I'll stay by your side. Alright. There's only the good one left. Only the good endings left. So, the good ending, and basically everybody has, yeah, everybody's there, I know. The good ending is gonna have to be everybody lives and nothing bad happens at all. Well, it's probably not gonna be that way. Probably gonna be lots of bad stuff. Then all of a sudden everything becomes good. Although we've already gone through so much bad stuff, it really should just be nothing but good stuff. We'll do it next time though on Wednesday, so in case anybody actually wants to see it, you can see it too. Well, I'm sure it's probably kind of long. Yeah, this is one of the good ones too. Rimi's and Shibuya suffers, but at least, like, you know, at least Takumi and Minami's okay. This has no animation for this ending sequence song. It's just a song. All right, let's see this. All right. That was the anima image ending. There it is. One more left. That's at the bottom all by itself. It's got to be the good one. Like 100%. Oh, you can't see it underneath me. 100% whose eyes are those eyes, and 95% album achievement, whatever that means. Well, playtime's gonna be over 50 hours this game. Jesus. Yeah, and it says it only takes 40 hours. That's if you don't read everything out loud, though. Adds an extra 10 hours. All right. Yeah, sorry, it's the worst one. It's all bad. Nothing good happens in this game. That'd be so funny. I wouldn't put it past this game. Actually, at this point, it would actually make me laugh. But I mean, it'd be kind of lame though too. All right, I'll be back again Wednesday to do that, the final ending. Thanks for hanging around. I'll be back. Let's see, for wrestling tomorrow at around 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. And what do we have? We do have the Tokyo Joshi Pro show to get to, or Tokyo Joshi Pro, and then there's Marvelous, a big show they did we have to get to. And a few other things too. Oh yeah, the Saudi show just happened last night. We have a lot of stuff to get to. Definitely come back for that. Once we get Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, another fun visual novel, with a real happy plot twist. All right, let's see here. All right, there's the credits. Let's find someone to raid, of course. All right, keep doing Kikyo's song. Thanks, Pink Spike, Walrus, and Suda, though. Alright. Who's there to raid? There's Snowboy watching that soft ground you're wrestling from Africa. There's Sean TC also, who's doing AFK for a bit. He's not even there. Wait a minute. We had Snowboy last time. It was a good Pete. I guess we could rate him. He's watching wrestling, alright. Alright. 1993. Yeah, everybody have a good rest of your day. Definitely try to come back tomorrow for some wrestling if you can. And of course, Wednesday I'll get to the ending of this game. Well, I'm assuming. What if it's like super long? But yeah, Wednesday will be it'll be around 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope to see you again soon. Say hello, say goodbye.
Oh, hello, Edwards.